Sure.
Cool. Hello, it's still day 2. We're still here. There are still conferences, it's still E3, and we are still reacting to them. So let's get in and do some reactions. This is Ubisoft's conference for this year. A fine conference, I would say. Nothing more than that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yep. But I was not taking any notes throughout because I was cooking. So, Lewis, you're going to guide us through this one. Tell us all the things that Ubisoft did show, didn't show, and all the show. Go.
Yeah, sure. So first things first, we had Assassin's Creed Symphony, a touring orchestra that are going to go around and play the songs. They kind of showed us little snippets of all the different songs, or loads of different songs from each different game, and had like the footage of the game playing in the background. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
coming to London. Tempted, to be honest, if it's not already kind of booked up. It might be.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. I've looked at going to an event like that a couple of times. I think if they ever did Arkham, that would probably be the one that sways me. But the next one closest is Assassin's Creed. The music in those games is stunning. And seeing how they've been done before. So friend of the show, Mark Silk, who is a voice actor in various things, has been the host of those for Star Wars. He did one at the Royal Albert Hall for a Star Wars orchestral play along, and they look incredible. So, yeah, sounds really awesome.
Yeah. So, alternatively, we're going to kind of skip the next thing, just because I think it's something we're going to talk a lot about.
Yep, big shit.
Yeah, big thing. Hold on for that. So then we got kind of a cool concept for a TV show. Made with kind of Ubisoft's involvement in some way. It looked like maybe they're going to be using their assets or something. But essentially the concept is that there's a game studio that are the biggest MMO out there. They're making a new kind of content pack, a new DLC for that. And kind of like the, I guess, office culture around that. It seemed very much like it's pitched towards kind of us in a way. It's not quite so fellow gamers as much as it is going to be like, yeah, cool, this is about games and game development.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to present in the way that they did, and it was weird that they came on and they were like, I thought it was quite ironic in a way, because they came on and they were saying stuff like, hey man, you gamers, you're the best. You deserve nothing but the best. And then the actual like trailer was really ripping the shit out of it to some extent. Like, it was not kind of quiet about the culture and quiet about the kind of, oh, games are art discussion that never seems to fucking die. So yeah, I thought it was weirdly pitched, but I think the show looks really good. We've been watching when the conference finished. We're on the Twitch channel at the minute, and we're not on it. Christ, we're watching the Twitch channel at the minute, and Kind of Funny are responding to it in their podcast. And they said that the show didn't look very good, and I agree in that the actual production of it didn't look very good. But I just started watching Always Sunny for the first time. I have never seen the show before, and I just picked it up. And what sticks out to me is that, my God, the first episode looks like it was shot on a home fucking camcorder, but the content is really good. And there's something in that, if the content is good and the writing is good, that the production value can kind of drive it away a little bit. So I don't mind this looking like a YouTube kind of machinima potato quality thing if the writing is as good as Sunny.
Yeah, I guess I come from a slightly different side in it, that like I kind of like the take of it being maybe like a kind of home video in the office sort of thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I think, to be honest, like the other thing that I'm a big fan of kind of muted comedy, because it was kind of presented clearly as a comedy in my mind, but quite a muted comedy.
Yeah,
you know, it's not we've got a laugh track and it's jokes. It's kind of, they made a big deal of the main character, and there was a great presentation where it's like, when you think of artists or directors, you shouldn't think Spielberg or
Spielberg, Cameron, or someone else.
Yeah, instead you should think Grimm for this guy who's the director on this, the creative director on this DLC. And I think that's such a cool. It's a good joke, you know, but it's very like we're not gonna have a laugh track. It's not like a laughing joke, and I love that kind of humor. Mm-hmm. I like the kind of quiet humor, I guess.
Yeah, and when you say it like that, the Office cross game dev makes a lot of sense. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great example of it. So then we got Rainbow Six Siege Clutch Royale.
Yeah.
Still not really sure what that was. Like the name would suggest it's a battle royale, but we don't think we really got that impression.
It was a really weird trailer for it as well, because there was rumors circulating about a new Rainbow Six game in some form being not what you expect from Rainbow Six, and this kind of started that way. It had this weird presentation. It was kind of campy. It had some really nice visuals going into it, and there were names as characters and this, that. And I thought, oh, shit, okay, this is... And then they were like, in Siege. Oh, okay, but now I don't know what this is. I'm guessing it's a new play style. I'm guessing it's a new mode, something they'll add to the game.
There's a new operator.
Yeah, new characters, all that kind of the past this point, minus a few really cool announcements. This was a pretty typical games as a service conference. Past this point, it was like, hey, we have a game, you're fucking playing it, so we'll add some stuff. Good chat, you know.
Yeah.
And that was what this bit was. It was just slightly confusingly messaged.
Yeah. So then we got Adventure Time coming to Brawlhalla, which was a thing.
Weird.
Yeah.
Cool, like really cool. Like it's awesome that I really like that. I must say we're pretty negative on all these E3 conferences. Like unless it blows it out of our mind, we're pretty like, oh well.
That's the problem, gamers.
Yeah, we are kind of the problem, and we're quite aware of that. But I will say, as negative or as positive as we may sound one way or another, mad props, because Ubisoft have for probably 4 or 5 years now come out of the woodwork and gone, hey, here's something you didn't expect.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be something that will blow your mind, but here's something that you definitely did not think you would see on our stage. Here's something that we're doubling down on. And we thought, for a while, for a few years, we thought they were doing it to avoid Tencent. Right? We thought they were doing it to say, yeah, we're Ubisoft. That's who we are. You can't take that from us, so that they would push back that investment. And it worked. But now that Tencent are gone and Ubisoft is secure, the fact that they haven't stopped doing that, and in fact, I'd argue, have done it even weirder, is awesome. Yeah. Like, this year, the announcements this year for stuff I won't play didn't resonate as much with me for stuff I won't play from previous years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
In the years previous, they had the really fucking cool game with the Hobbit. What's his face? Frodo. He came out and did like a first-person horror looping game.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
that was one of the coolest looking games that I'll never play.
Yeah,
but it's exactly the kind of thing I want to see out of Ubisoft, and this was another one of those conferences.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a lot of words.
Then, a guy with a dog came onto the stage.
John Bernthal, the Punisher, Baby Driver, I think,
for Ghost Recon. So, kind of the announcement here mostly was some extra content for Siege, as well as the no.
John Bernthal and Siege.
That's what I've got down here.
Ah, okay. We took something different away from this. What did you get?
Well, I didn't get much. So what did you get?
So I took away from it that John Bernthal is playing the antagonist in Siege. Not Siege, Breakpoint. In Breakpoint. I took it that he was...
Oh, you know what? I missed that Breakpoint.
He's fucked it up. No, so John Bernthal came on stage. He had a cool dog with him. That was real good. He came out and did... They showed a trailer of a bad guy giving a speech to his wolves, his faction. It was very rousing and very, on we go. And then they were like, hey, I'm John Bernthal. I'm going to play the bad guy in Breakpoint. Then he did a slightly less good version of his rousing speech, and he was gone. And
well, so one of the things he said in it, at the very least, that to be honest, I haven't kept up with it too much, but one of the things they said is they're bringing back kind of AI characters, and that's quite cool, because that would keep me from being interested in the. I didn't know that was the case in the other series, in the other games in the series.
Oh, so I think I took a different thing away
But it
from
would
this
stop
again. So they did some stuff before Breakpoint for the for the Ghost Recon that's out at the minute, because Ghost Recon Wildlands came out like only last year. And I took from that they were adding AI characters back into that game rather than Breakpoint. And then they were building like a social media and network and stuff for Ghost Recon generally.
Yeah.
And then Breakpoint was the announcement that came out of that. Hey, this will use all that previous stuff, and also we've got John Bernthal. Cool. It looks like a cool game. I like the idea of a futuristic Ghost Recon. I'd kill for Ghost Recon Future Soldier, but this looked fine. And it's another one of those. I don't know if I'll ever play it, but certainly a cool presentation of it.
Yeah, sure. So then we got Don't You Have Phones? Tom Clancy Elite Squad.
Right, so I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I thought that looked really good. Of all the games we've seen, none of them to me have really made a lot of sense to be on phones. Gears Pop, I don't get why it's on phones. I get why it's on phones, but I wouldn't pick it up. The stuff from Bethesda last night, I wouldn't. It doesn't look like anything I'd sit down and play. But a kind of RTS light game makes a lot of sense on a phone. That's a typically good way to do it. And if you were going to say to me, Ubisoft is going to launch an RTS light phone game, who do you want to be in it? I would say everyone. I love the idea of like play a dude from Siege, play Sam Fisher, play this, that, the other, and you know that they're going to open that up to next week Ezio's coming to it, or the week after we'll have fucking Rayman or something like that. And of all the companies that have the properties to leverage to make something like that work, Ubisoft is the one. And it's not, it's not necessarily something I'm going to rush out for, but I probably will pick it up. I probably will give it a go. As a phone game, that structure makes a lot of sense, and using those IPs in a smart, light way, I'm pretty cool with. I thought that was all right from them.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you have that. Cool. So then we got Just Dance. They did a song and dance, as it were.
Yep, they did.
Is normal fashion.
Had a nice bit of Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, normal fashion for the Ubisoft conference. But actually, this was kind of the least they've focused on it in recent years. It was kind of in and out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they kind of said so it's been 10 years. They announced that there's a new game. It's coming to literally everything, including the Wii.
Yeah.
And including Stadia.
Yeah, Stadia was an interesting one. Because a couple of years ago they made like the Just Dance service where all you need is your phones and you download everything. And if this is a similar thing, Stadia is perfect for this. If this is a similar kind of, it works on whatever, it's more like Spotify than a game. That is a perfect idea. And on Stadia it'll work because you go home, you play it how you want. You take it out on the phone, you do some dancing or whatever, you play it how you want. It sounded really cool. If you're interested and if you're wondering why they've put it on the Wii is still supported by Ubisoft for these kind of games because they sell like fucking hotcakes. Because they don't need to be particularly graphically intensive. They don't need to perform like a shooter well. They just need to perform stably. And really all they are is an overlay on top of a music track and the response to that overlay. So the Wii kind of makes a perfect sense for that game. Obviously weird to see a game still on the Wii, but that console sold like 120 million units. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And Just Dance will probably continue to support it for a while. I didn't actually see this trailer, so I'd be interested if it was Wii and Wii U or just Wii.
Oh, okay. Actually, that's the point, yeah. I'm not sure.
Because if they're making it for one, it's not hard to put it on both, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And 120 versus 150 million units, it's a fairly big difference.
Yeah, very true.
Cool.
So after that, we got For Honor presenting kind of a new event, I think.
Yep. It was an exclusive in-game event fueled around... I didn't see this a huge amount because I was making quesadillas, but I guess it was around like samurai mythology of some form. I got the feeling of. Yeah,
so it's based on a female samurai, but like kind of ghost thing, I guess, because it wasn't quite. It was sort of like spirity,
Yeah.
But it looked cool, so I assume... I don't know enough about it, to be honest, but I imagine it looked a bit like it's going to be some sort of PvE kind of campaign event thing, which is cool.
Yeah.
For a game like that. I always really liked that kind of element to those games.
Sure. Why not?
Then we got a very... I know.
Yeah.
Then we got a very strange trailer for some sort of horror game with the guy was kind of some sort of infection or disease or something kind of going up his veins. And
do you know, the more we talk about this conference, the more positive I am on it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it might
really.
be.
So as Lewis was saying, we had a trailer of a gentleman on the floor, gun in hand. There were sort of shadows dancing around the place. You got your Marvel kind of bombs. It was dark and grim. And there was very clearly something approaching down a corridor that this guy was facing at. It looked like it was set in a laundromat. There were laundry machines everywhere.
It was.
So kind of looking like a haunted laundromat. Stuff was approaching, and then his team came and picked him up and got him. And at this point, I was thinking zombie. I think I said zombie. And I did actually play Zombie and quite enjoyed it. Zombie U. Fucking dumb name for a game.
Yeah.
And a Zombie 2 would have been amazing. And then they revealed what it is, and I was still very surprised.
Yeah.
It's the new Rainbow Six game.
Yeah. So this is Ghost Recon Quarantine. Sorry. Rainbow Six Quarantine. I messed up.
It doesn't, no.
So it's a 3-player co-op game.
Yeah.
Which is a strange number of players, but all good.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very horror-based. We don't really have much more than that to say, I guess.
Yeah, so some rumours were floating around before this came out, as I said earlier, about rumours for a new Rainbow Six game that had a kind of... It's a Rainbow Six game, but it's somewhat multiplayer. It's kind of sci-fi, was the rumour that was going around. And I could see how that was... Oh, so the other thing that was going on about this is years and years ago when... I think it was Watch Dogs 2 came out. You could hack into Ubisoft offices in the world and see leaked demos in inverted commas for games. Like they leaked a bit of Assassin's Creed at the time, and I think they leaked this, and it was either called like Rocketeer or Piloteer or something. And this is that game, from what I'm hearing. The suggestion is that when it was first revealed, it was very kind of broadly sci-fi, No Man's Sky-ish, and if this is the same game, it's vastly different, and kind of a lot more nasty and horror focused.
Yeah,
awesome. I'm so fucking in for this. I'm never going to play it. I'll be terrified. But the idea of a new PvE Rainbow Six game, great. From the team that did the hard work on Siege, awesome. With a sci-fi horror twist, yes, great, awesome, well done.
Yeah, definitely kind of what I need to be interested in it.
This is a U game.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in the other kind of stuff we received from Clancy, but
this was a very Tom Clancy heavy conference.
Yeah, I think because I love the Ghost Recon series as well, so I'm interested in that, and then I'm interested in this. So then we got Division 2 is going to have a free play weekend from the 13th to the 16th of this month.
Yeah.
They're bringing the Pentagon to the game, which is cool.
So they announced a few more DLC episodes for the game. One is set in like the wilderness, it's outside of a city. One is, they're kind of going national rather than city-based.
Yeah.
They're going all over the place. One is, as you say, the Pentagon. And then one goes back to the last one is going back to New York in the summer. So where Division 1 was set in New York in the winter, this is now Division 2 in New York, I imagine a few years later. And that'll be really interesting to see how the story's progressed and how they handle the same world twice.
Yeah.
Also be very interesting because I don't know if they put dates on anything but episode 1. I imagine they did. If they're anything but monthly, i.e. 2 months or 3 months, if they're quarterly, that fourth update, if they're quarterly, this is a big old if, I might be very wrong about this, but if they're quarterly, that will be with the new gen consoles.
Okay, yeah.
That would be very interesting if they launch. If I might be talking pure shit here, but if they were to launch Destiny 2 on the new gen consoles by saying, "And look how beautiful New York is again."
Yeah,
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. So they announced
Destiny
as well.
2.
Yeah,
Fucking Division 2. Ugh.
I thought I'd leave you with it, but okay.
You can fucking talk. Ghost Recon Splinter Cell CG6 boy.
I'm also bothered that like somehow you got more of this conference than I did, and I was watching it, and you were over there cooking quesadillas.
Yeah.
And yet still you know more about stuff that happened. I'm lost.
They call me the Iron Chef.
Fucking hell. So look, they also had Division movie.
Yes, they did.
Working with Netflix, they're going to do that.
Jessica Chastain and coming out on Netflix. Surprised we didn't get a trailer, to be honest.
Yeah,
That the ink on that deal must be very fresh.
Yeah.
Netflix tends to have a very quick turnaround for these kind of things. I expect you will see this in a year and a half.
Yeah. Cool. I don't really know enough about the world to be interested in. I don't know about yourself.
It depends when they set the movie. If it's set in Division 2 time, okay, yeah, cool. If it's set as the outbreak happens, where it's because the original world of the Division, I believe, is that the outbreak was passed around on banknotes at Christmas time as money's exchanging hands, and that's why the crash happened around there, because so many people are buying things, money is all over the place, inflation is not hard to fake, and they did it with fake banknotes. That sounds like an awesome idea for a movie. You imagine you do like a almost horror shooter thriller Christmas movie, kind of got Die Hard vibes about it.
Yeah,
that would be sick. If it's set in Division 2 time, all right.
Yeah, okay. So then you play. You announced you pay Plus, and I want to say something about this. So a few years ago, Devolver Digital in their conference made a joke about earliest access.
Yeah, they did.
And Uplay Plus was announced as like a kind of a subscription service to get Ubisoft games. Very cool. Definitely very down for that. Although they have given a lot of their games away over the years, so I'm not quite sure. But
yeah,
because I'm pretty sure like if you've had PS Plus or Xbox Gold since like the start, you've probably got most of the games from Ubisoft. But the point was that they announced earliest access. So on this Plus subscription, you will also probably get some sort of early access to games, which is cool. But yeah, it's just a funny joke, I guess. They announced it's coming to Stadia as well, so it's going to run on Stadia. See, that's interesting, I guess. Like if it's access to the library separate to Stadia, then like you can also download them, and I don't know really why you would choose to not download them.
I mean, I guess
Stadia. I guess there's the whole thing of Stadia being on like mobile and
it depends what you're playing Stadia on, right?
Yeah.
If it's your iPad, probably not. If it's your phone, definitely not. If it's your Switch, probably not. If it's a console, yeah.
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
I guess that's the positive of the platform. So
yeah, for sure. I definitely though. Maybe I'd have to look at the library and work out what's there, because I think the problem is, and I think you're probably in a similar place where you're like, I played all the Assassins pretty much. I played all the kind of I played Splinter Cells. I played Watch Dogs. I played the racing games.
Oh, apologies if you
games.
heard that. I'm really sorry.
So I'm kind of like at this point, what else do they have that I don't know about?
So the case for this, I think, is going to be a lot of the games as a service stuff. Like
all the DLCs are there, yeah.
Yeah, like if they have
that's true.
Rainbow Six Quarantine will be a game as a service. It will be here's the first thing you have to kill. Oh, now there's a second game mode and a third game mode. And then you'll have Siege, you'll have The Division, you'll have Breakpoint, you'll have all the Tom Clancy stuff. That's probably going to make a very, very strong case for this. If there's a DLC that drops for each of those each month, would you pay £15 for that DLC or £15 for everything?
Yeah, so as you alluded to, it's £15 a month, which is quite high.
It's high.
To
contextualize that a little bit, if you're paying for, so I'm going to spoil another one. They also said that it will be supported by Stadia. Now, if you're paying for Stadia to get the high end performance of it, that's I think between £8 and £12 a month. I can't remember the exact thing, but roughly.
Yeah.
That's that. then you've got that on top. And if you want to play it on any other service on any other console, you're looking at another, like if you get Xbox Ultimate Game Pass or whatever, that's another 15 a month. That's nearly 50 quid every month. And this has been said for a long time that all of these services going a la carte is good in a consumer friendly way because there's a lot more content is made and you have the choice of how you do it. It's not as good in the sense of if you want any of it, you have to pay through the nose quite extortionately and then maintain that payment to keep it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's kind of my concern with it. We have kind of, I think like it's the Netflix plus Amazon Prime kind of the future is just subscriptions everywhere.
Yeah.
No one's going to buy games anymore. You're just going to have like 50 subscriptions to different services. The subscription wars have begun.
Yeah, the console wars are dead. Long live the subscription wars.
I mean, that's true. That's a fair point to make. I don't know. give it a few years. I'm sure that we're gonna have that happen in some sense. Because Xbox will directly compete with Stadia.
Okay, the platform wars more so than console or streaming.
Yeah.
Because if Ubisoft's making stuff exclusively for Uplay Plus or whatever, that's a ball ache. But also, you've got, like, you can't not have a console war if you've got Xbox buying studios up with the rate they are and Sony working as hard on their studios at the rate they are. It's just, it doesn't look like the war anymore.
Yeah, sure. I guess, like, the concept's pretty cool, and I think it's probably something that they'll have like a free month or something, and I'll probably do that, or whatever they kind of offer on their cheaper end.
Maybe.
Because I'm not sure I'm down for another kind of that pricey subscription.
It's funny though, isn't it, that Xbox have been on the back foot for quite a long while, but now we are starting to see them doing things that companies are doing years after, and it makes you wonder, like, they haven't won this generation by any means. They barely even entered it. But
they're about to be overtaken by Nintendo.
They are, and I can't imagine that's going to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah.
But they clearly have something, and they clearly have something that we're kind of not being told about, because there's a reason that every company at E3 has announced something like this.
Yeah.
Interesting times, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the big uns.
Okay, so a big one now.
Let's go the last one.
Okay.
Then the first one.
Oh, okay. So the last one.
I mean the second last one. So they announced a new game called Roller Champions, which is a kind of roller derby basketball style thing. It's very obvious this is their attempt at Rocket League.
Yeah.
Painfully obvious this is their attempt at Rocket League. And this kind of leads me to my overall thought about this conference.
Okay.
Before we get into the last bit, which is actually the kind of big surprise of the conference. This conference was about Ubisoft saying that we're a media house now, more than a games developer.
I think they've always been like an art house, let's say.
I specifically say this is them. So this is them saying, hey, we have a social network now. Hey, we have online communities now. We have an esport, and we're building an esport for it. We want you to pre-alpha the esport, but also we're making exclusive content and working with Netflix and doing this, that, the other. If you look at how much of this was dedicated purely to single player or like solo play video games, it was a great conference, but not a lot of it was.
Yeah, fair. So we got two more announcements.
We did. Good point.
The first one is a game they didn't really show anything for, but we had Yves on the stage, and they announced a game called Gods and Monsters, which it's hard to say exactly what it is. I got a kind of similar feel as I got from the Tales trailer, where it's maybe like a kind of character RPG sort of something like that. It kind of felt like.
I didn't at all.
No?
I got a goddess vibe from this.
Oh no, I disagree strongly.
I think you're right. I think it's probably nowhere near a goddess game, but I got that vibe.
Well, okay, I can kind of guess why you got that vibe, but no, I'm fairly. It kind of felt like maybe it would be like a Zelda-y clone kind of style game.
Yeah, maybe they made a big thing of it coming from the Assassin's Creed studio, so I can see it maybe having an RPG base in some form.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be a weird one. Although it's out in March or February or something. It's out very early. I think they said.
Yeah.
So not long till we know, I guess. Also, hopefully not long till we see gameplay if it's 8 months away.
Yeah. So we have a choice now. We can talk about the other announcement, or we can summarize before.
Or summarize what?
Summarize the conference before. We
Let's do the big one. So the big one, mate. All right. The big one is fat in Watch Dogs London, isn't it? And it's about as Cockney as you can possibly be. Everyone is either Jason Statham, the Queen, or Oliver Twist.
Can we play exclusively as Oliver Twist?
Oliver.
Just London urchins.
He stole my food. He did.
He's hacking into the system.
He's a corrupt politician. He is. Fucking hell! It was. Everyone is very much one of the 3 British characters you see everywhere. But the game looks incredible. I can't underestimate how good this game looks.
Yeah.
So it's not a single character. It is a permadeath recruitment situation. So you recruit an NPC in the game. They then become a character.
Yeah.
You then get to play that person at some point if the character you're playing at the minute dies, and they are all recruits and agents in a wide field of taking down the authority bad guys.
Yeah. So it seems like a really cool concept. So this it's called Watch Dogs Legion, and the Legion concept is, as I say, you can recruit characters, and there's like an AI, or we get told it's an AI. I'm sure it's probably going to end up being a person.
Quick aside that's just dawned on me. When the Assassin's Creed leak happened last year for After Odyssey, the name of that game was Assassin's Creed Legion.
That's true.
I wonder if some of the information in that is correct and that there's a thing here.
Yeah, could be. I could see them doing it at some point. The main kind of it's a really cool idea that they presented, really. It's a game where the story, the missions, the everything is driven instead of by your main player character, but by like an AI character. So the thing that kind of drives us to do missions is that, which means that like regardless of what character you are at any given specific time, stuff continues, you know. And they showed that literally like your character can be involved in cutscenes, and I'm wondering how far that goes, because that's quite an expensive process to have that many like properly voice acted characters, because you must have to record every line for every character. So if it's still a big game, then that's quite an ask. And then it depends like how much story is involved in that, I guess.
Well, I think the other question is this a single player game?
I think it is. I think I can
so
see
too.
why you would think it wasn't, but I think it is.
I think so too, but it's not too much of a stretch to say. It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to see this as like games as a service episodic, because then what you get in the world becomes a lot more manageable. Oh, sorry. I hope this is a single player game, because if it is, I'm in love with it. It looks so good. The world of London looked so vibrant.
Yeah.
It was neon lit everywhere, but not like cyberpunk neon lit where it's like, you know, where it's like Tron fucked iRobot. This was like, what will London actually look like in 5-6 years?
Yeah.
It was awesome. The voice acting was fine. You know, the dialogue is very bland and
that's fine.
But the way that they the way they brought England and the UK into this, like they mentioned specifically the stuff about Bletchley Park and
yeah, they did.
MI5, the Metropolitan Police, Scotland Yard, and you can tell that a lot of work has been done to make this feel authentic.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as you kind of mentioned there, like you can be all those characters.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's going to have to be authentic, because at some point these characters are going to become cookie cutter, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way of working it. They haven't modeled millions and millions of individual people. It's going to be some kind of modular system where...
Yeah. But I can see it kind of working in a sense of, like, if we have... Because, I mean, you could probably get away with it in some way, and nobody would complain if it was, like, a good number of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like, yeah, sure, there's going to be a few grannies in it.
Well, so the way I think it will probably work is there'll be 20 granny haircuts, 20 granny bodies, and they'll work together to make 200 equivalent grannies that you might see everywhere.
Yeah.
Or probably more than that, but you see my point. The bit, as you said earlier, where that becomes difficult is voice acting, because if you have 20 people reading the entire script, that's a huge stretch. But if some voices can work with all people and some can't, maybe you only need, like, of those 200 grannies, maybe you only need, like, 10, 15 voices and you never hear the same one twice. If none of that feels authentic, if it all feels like... It could feel like the NPCs in Assassin's Creed Paris, whatever that one was.
Unity.
That's it, Assassin's Creed Unity, where there were so many of them on stage. They all felt like the same thing, cookie-cutted, and you were just moving through crowds of them. This needs to feel the opposite. It needs to feel like... it needs to feel right. And like these are real people in a real world. And if they do that, the cookie-cutter nature of it is kind of okay.
Yeah, I get the impression as well that... see, the other one that gets me is that they very much said you can be anyone. And I can't imagine that being the case fully. So I can kind of picture like a midway ground where it's like, sure, there's these 50 characters you can recruit, but there's crowds of hundreds. But they said you can recruit anyone. So the whole, like, anyone in that crowd could be recruited, which is kind of surprising if true, in my mind. I can see that they've kind of pitched it with that in mind, though, in some sense. Like, when you watch the trailer for it, there's a lot less characters than there were, like, around. It's not kind of like London congested, it's there's characters there, but everyone's kind of got their space, which is fine. I think if that's the cost to make this work, then that's cool. They don't really have like the system they had in the other one, where it's kind of everyone's got like one of three qualities that are just kind of randomized.
Yeah.
But what was cool is that the characters you see do have different abilities, and kind of like this guy's got extra damage, but he's not good at guns. And if you're a hard Cockney geezer, maybe you're better at glassing people than
may die randomly.
Yeah, may die randomly was one of the abilities there. Kind of sucks. I wouldn't be choosing that character because I can just imagine getting to the end of the mission and be like,
I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to play though, right? Like, you get to the end of the game, you've done it all, you're just into post-game content. You're like, yeah, actually, let's in a way, like, that could be a really interesting challenge for the game. Is like, okay, well, you've won the game, but now you have the world and all the post-game stuff to do. Do you want to role-play it? Do you want to play it as X-Spy Granny? Do you want to role-play it as James Bond? Or do you want to actually play as Fat Bill over there?
Yeah.
And how does he survive this? It is a really interesting little idea for a game.
So can we play a fat character?
Yes. Fat Bob. We've said it since Zombie.
I think one of the cool things about it as well is everyone's got their own... The way they presented it, everyone's got like their own mask as well, which is quite cool. So when they are doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, they put on a mask. And then, like, there was interesting ones, like the Granny's one was sort of very like a elite soldier, whereas like the Cockney geezer was like a weird crown. It was very cool. And I think like I'm very excited to see that. And then as well, they showed that the range of characters here was literally you've got the extremes we've talked about, but you've also got like kind of gangsters and like chavs and cops and MI5 agents and whatever. And that's going to be really cool to explore.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a bit in that trailer I want to rewatch just to kind of get a scope for what that's exactly like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm stoked for it, to be honest.
And then it's like March. Is it March 6th next year?
I believe so, yes.
So that's going to be a packed 30 days from the 3rd of... all right, a little more than 30 days, but 3rd of March with Final Fantasy, 6th of March with this, and then Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks after.
I think so kind of Q4, sorry, the kind of next... So 6 months, right, from sort of September.
Yeah.
Onwards. Are stacked at the moment.
Oh God, yeah.
Like it happens. In fairness, it does happen most of the E3s where we're kind of like we don't know anything what's coming out, and now we're like, yeah, there's loads of stuff coming out. But there is. We've got Cyberpunk coming out. We got this. We got loads of stuff. Final Fantasy.
So I will say the one thing that surprises me about this conference, and it ties to that, is that we saw a lot of stuff that's coming out very shortly, but we didn't. Like this, so this conference should have been the equivalent of Watch Dogs 1 conference, right? Where we start to see the stuff that will be next gen. We start to see like the, oh my God, what is this? Where does it? And we kind of didn't.
Yeah, I think like the way so we now kind of have a good idea of when the consoles are coming.
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
think it changes things a little bit. In that kind of the year, we thought this would be the year of the consoles are coming, prepare for them. Here's, the launch games for the next console.
Yeah.
And here's, what Ubisoft are doing on the first, like the next generation consoles. And here's, and I think actually now that we know that it's kind of late 2020, or holiday 2020, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
holiday, Christmas, late 2020.
Not summer holidays.
No, it fucks us up here in the UK because we're weird. Sorry, we got
holidays.
weird names for everything, don't we, Dove?
Yeah.
There you go.
Now we know that at least the Xbox is there, and it's fair to say the PlayStation will be somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Now we know that's the case. I think it pitches things slightly differently because next year's E3 will be the year of here's what's coming.
I disagree so strongly. The year that Watch Dogs was revealed, the year that some of the Sony stuff was revealed, the year that some of the Microsoft stuff was revealed, was not the year in which we knew we were going next gen. It was the year before it. Like Watch Dogs was the year before next gen because the question was, does this game come out on these consoles? The stuff that happened with the one I remember quite strongly is the Halo trailer where he's wearing the poncho, and there was the big desert scene, and people were like, "Oh, this isn't 360," but they haven't said anything yet. And then he pulled the poncho back, and it was the chief. People were like, "Oh shit!" But we didn't know the names, the dates, anything was being worked on for the consoles yet. Now we do. And it's really funny that Microsoft actually did that. They really put all these companies on blast of being like, well, you're making next-gen stuff, you're just not showing it yet. Or you are showing it, but not in any kind of viable way. But yeah, weird conference.
I still, as I say, I kind of stick by. You're right in the kind of previously it's been that way.
Yeah,
but
we are dealing with a different beast now.
I think because I think that in fairness, we haven't really had... Since probably like the odd bit in Ubisoft and maybe like Sony stuff, we haven't had a conference that's kind of detailed more than a few months. Or not a few months, but like a year, half a year. It's the case with Microsoft's conference, and it's the case with mostly the case with Microsoft conference, and the case with this is that everything we've talked about now is like the next 6 months, the next half year, the next year. We're still. Things have changed in that sense. We haven't had conferences really in recent years that have gone, yes, this is coming out in 3 years or 2 years, outside of the big ones, I guess. So I just think we'll see it next year. We'll see some of these stuff like like the things that we're missing from this that we can maybe talk about. I guess Splinter Cell would probably be the main one that's
fucking don't,
never
man.
happening.
Just don't.
Is it going to happen one day?
It's got to. Like,
every year we go, like, it's definitely this year because they've announced so much stuff.
but
and
they
they've got him
keep
everywhere.
showing him. So this is the only problem I have with Ubisoft in general, is that they don't kill an IP, they just let it bleed out. Like, before Beyond Good and Evil was announced, they kept teasing and talking about Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, just show the game or shit or get off the pot, you know? And in the same way here, they're like, I don't mind, and I'm actually quite happy and glad that Sam Fisher's in that mobile game. That's cool. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that he showed up in Ghost Recon. I don't mind that he's in this, that, the other. All of that's cool.
Yeah.
If it leads to them saying, here's Splinter Cell. But while it doesn't, it feels so hollow, and he should have been there. And they fucking knew, because his graphics were everywhere.
Yeah.
The green edging was everywhere. The mask icons were everywhere. They are waiting for this so long.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, next year, it's going to be.
Yeah, I guess it'll have to be.
And it's going to be shown, what's it, alongside Assassins, and yeah.
Oh shit! Assassins is going to be next gen.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're going to get next year.
Oh, it's going to be interesting times. Yeah, that was the conference. Overall, easily my favourite conference so far.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Very strong.
A lot of that comes from, obviously, Watch Dogs probably being the best thing we've seen at this E3 so far. And then alongside that, you've got the Ghost Recon stuff, or the quarantine thing that I'm quite interested in, actually. Mm-hmm. I think I kind of agree with you, though. This is kind of the best stuff in my mind. Yeah,
for sure. This was great. Very strong conference. Weird at times, not what we expected at times, but the strong announcements will make me play those games undeniably. Didn't expect them to look that good. Didn't expect some of the things to be coming. Totally happy with what we saw.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Well done, Ubisoft. So the ball is now in the park of Square Enix, who could kill it.
They could.
Who could very easily kill it.
They absolutely could.
And Nintendo. Nintendo could also kill it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... See, I have a habit of putting Nintendo down, I guess. And it's a fair thing to say. I think that they commonly... So, they've had kind of previous ways they've dealt with things that have been maybe slow.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the Wii U kind of didn't have games.
Yep.
But at the same time, they've kind of also shown that maybe this gen's different.
Well, it is. I mean, undeniably, they have a piece of hardware that's really reliably good. They've been pumping games out, and not just games like they did on Wii U, where it was like new Super Smash Brothers Peel a Banana or whatever. Like, these have been of reputable franchises, backed by real fan call for it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
This year, I kind of feel like they could again. Like, what the big question I have for them is, before E3, they announced Mario Maker 2, then detailed it in full and with a release date. They announced Pokemon, then detailed it full with a release date. What the fuck are they saving?
Yeah, fair.
Like, what is here? Because if this year was supposed to be the year of Metroid, they've known for a year that that's not going to happen. Those directs didn't need to happen. They are either going to show off nothing from first party. It will all be third party, all different services and companies coming to it, which wouldn't be the worst thing. Or they're holding something. See, and that's exciting.
I don't know. Like, my common thing is Nintendo has the highest chance to be like nothing, but then also a good chance to be something. Yeah,
100%. Like, because you think of all the stuff that we haven't seen for a little while. So Animal Crossing is obviously going to get detailed and talked about. We pretty much know that already. But then it's the other stuff that...
years as well.
Yeah. No, but... Yeah. But then it's the stuff that could be happening. So, like, it could be Star Fox.
Yeah.
We know they've got a Switch model of it because it was in the Ubisoft game. It could work.
Yeah.
It could be the other one that I'm totally missing. It could be the Metroid Prime trilogy. It could be Skyward Swords remaster. It could. I heard somewhere. Well, not I haven't heard somewhere, but I heard somebody on a podcast say, "What if they did like an upside down world version of Breath of the Wild?"
Yeah.
So what if they did like what's the one? Is it Twilight Princess that did that, or an Ocarina of Time? What if they did something like that for Breath of the Wild to see out the current gen of consoles? Yeah,
sure.
Could be real good.
All right.
That was good. Thanks very much for listening. We will see you for the next... I don't know when the next show is. Is it in like 30 minutes?
Yeah, I think so.
There's so little turnaround for these things. We will see you in a few minutes for Kind of Funny. So excited for that. Go and show those dudes some support. They're fucking awesome. And their showcases are just like 40 minutes of pure indie game passion. It's great. We will see you after that. We will react to it. And then we'll react to Square. And then we'll... Is it Square?
Yeah.
Square. And then we'll sweep. Thanks very much. And until the next one, the game is up. Where's the stop button? Oh, I've lost it. Oh, no, there it is.
Pressed it an hour ago.